15 Hollywood Golden Age actors and singers died in poverty. Fame, fortune, and glittering success, Hollywood's Golden Age promised it all. But behind the glamour, some of its brightest stars faced unimaginable downfall. These were legends who graced the silver screen and airwaves only to spend their final days in poverty. What happened to these icons who once had it all? How did the kings and queens of entertainment end up forgotten and struggling to survive? Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking, heartbreaking stories of Golden Age actors and singers whose lives ended far from the spotlight they once commanded. Judy Garland.
But if you knew of all the years...
Judy Garland, born Frances Ethel Gum on June 10, 1922, was one of Hollywood's brightest stars during the Golden Age of entertainment. Rising to fame as a child actress, her breakthrough came with The Wizard of Oz, 1939, where her portrayal of Dorothy and her rendition of Over the Rainbow became iconic. Garland's career spanned film, radio, and music, earning her an Academy Juvenile Award, a Golden Globe, and multiple Grammy Awards, including the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. At her peak, she was one of MGM's highest-paid stars, earning millions during the 1940s and early 1950s. Despite an estimated $40 million in lifetime earnings, Garland's finances crumbled due to a combination of factors. Her descent began with her departure from MGM in 1950, where she'd been overworked and subjected to grueling schedules. Mismanagement by agents and financial advisors depleted her wealth, and her third husband, Sid Luft, reportedly squandered significant sums. Additionally, she owed massive back taxes totaling around $4 million to the IRS. Garland also struggled with addiction to prescription drugs and alcohol, which had been introduced to her during her teenage years at MGM. The cost of treatment and her ongoing health issues further strained her finances. By the 1960s, Garland was performing in small venues and living in hotels she often could not afford. Despite her efforts to revive her career with concerts and television specials, such as The Judy Garland Show 1963-1964, the financial recovery she desperately needed eluded her. Her final days were spent performing in a London nightclub, earning modest fees in a last-ditch attempt to settle debts and support her children. On June 22, 1969, Garland died of a barbiturate overdose at 47, leaving behind an estate valued at just $40,000. A contemporary news report remarked, "Garland's struggles serve as a stark reminder of the pressures and pitfalls of stardom." Despite her financial struggles, Judy Garland's artistic legacy remains unparalleled, inspiring reforms in how the entertainment industry manages young performers and their earnings. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, born June 20, 1909 in Hobart, Tasmania, was one of Hollywood's most charismatic leading men during the 1930s and 1940s. Known for his dashing roles in films such as Captain Blood, 1935, The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938, and The Seahawk, 1940, Flynn epitomized the swashbuckling hero. His performances and charm made him a global sensation, earning him millions at the height of his career and solidifying his status as one of Warner Brothers' top box office draws. However, Flynn's penchant for extravagance quickly consumed his fortune. He spent lavishly on yachts, private islands, and opulent homes, living a lifestyle as adventurous off-screen as his on-screen persona. His financial troubles were exacerbated by hefty legal fees stemming from a highly publicized 1943 trial for statutory rape, from which he was acquitted. The scandal tarnished his reputation and strained his finances. Furthermore, his first wife, actress Lily Damita, was awarded a substantial settlement following their divorce, further depleting his wealth. Flynn also pursued risky ventures, including a failed attempt at film production, which left him deeply in debt. His struggle with alcoholism and a hedonistic lifestyle took a toll on his health, forcing him to accept roles in low-budget films during his later years to cover expenses. Despite his efforts, he was unable to reclaim his former financial standing. By the time of his death on October 14, 1959, at the age of 50, Flynn's estate was valued at a mere $10,000. His final years were marked by declining health and performances far removed from the grandeur of his earlier work. A close friend once remarked, "Errol lived life as if there were no tomorrow, and for him, there rarely was." Though his financial missteps cast a shadow over his legacy, Errol Flynn remains a symbol of classic Hollywood's golden era, his films celebrated for their energy and timeless appeal. His life serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked indulgence, prompting discussions on financial literacy for performers in the entertainment industry. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton, born on November 16, 1927, in Cloquet, Minnesota, was a Hollywood starlet whose beauty and talent promised a bright future. She rose to fame in the early 1950s with notable performances in films such as Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, 1950, opposite James Cagney, and Only the Valiant, 1951, with Gregory Peck. At the peak of her career, Payton earned critical acclaim and was seen as a rising star with immense potential. However, her promising trajectory was marred by personal scandals and substance abuse. Her tumultuous relationships, including a highly publicized affair with actor Franchot Tone that ended in a violent love triangle, damaged her reputation. As her professional opportunities dwindled, Payton turned to alcohol and drugs, which exacerbated her troubles. Arrests for public drunkenness and writing bad checks further alienated her from Hollywood and depleted her finances. By the late 1950s, Payton was out of work and struggling to make ends meet. Desperate for income, she resorted to prostitution, a tragic turn for someone once considered a rising star. Her years of heavy drinking and drug use took a severe toll on her health, and she lived in squalor, moving between rundown apartments and her parents' modest home in San Diego. On May 8, 1967, Payton died at just 39 years old from liver and heart failure, her body weakened by years of substance abuse. Her family lacked the funds for a proper burial, and her remains were quietly cremated. A contemporary report described her final days as marked by isolation and hardship, a stark contrast to the glamour of her early Hollywood years. Barbara Payton's life serves as a poignant reminder of the darker side of fame. While her story is one of tragedy, it also highlights the importance of addressing addiction and mental health in the entertainment industry, fostering reforms to provide support for those facing similar struggles. Make it to the end and you'll see why it's worth it. Leave a number 1 if you're as curious as I am excited. Fatty Arbuckle. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, born March 24, 1887, in Smith Center, Kansas, was one of the silent film era's most beloved comedians. Known for his exceptional physical comedy and charm, Arbuckle starred in and directed numerous box office hits, including The Butcher Boy, 1917, and Coney Island, 1917. By the early 1920s, he was among Hollywood's highest-paid actors, signing a record-breaking contract with Paramount Pictures worth $1 million per year, a staggering sum at the time. Arbuckle's career came to a screeching halt in 1921 after a scandal that shocked the nation. He was accused of raping and manslaughtering actress Virginia Rapp during a party in San Francisco. Though he was ultimately acquitted after 3 trials, the media frenzy and public outcry tarnished his reputation irrevocably. The court of public opinion was unforgiving, and his films were banned while he was blacklisted by the industry. The legal battle drained Arbuckle financially, with defense costs reportedly amounting to $700,000. His attempts to rebuild his career under the pseudonym William Goodrich yielded only modest success. Reduced to working behind the scenes as a director, he struggled to reclaim his former glory. Despite briefly returning to acting in 1932 with a series of short comedies for Warner Brothers, Arbuckle's comeback was cut short. On June 29, 1933, just hours after signing a contract for a feature-length film, Arbuckle died of a heart attack at 46. He left behind minimal assets, still burdened by debts from his legal troubles. His widow, Addie MacPhail, received little from his estate. A newspaper at the time described Arbuckle's downfall as a tragedy of fame turned to infamy. His story serves as a cautionary tale of how scandal and public opinion can dismantle even the most illustrious careers. Nonetheless, Arbuckle's contributions to comedy remain influential, and his case spurred debates about media sensationalism and the presumption of innocence in high-profile trials. Dorothy Dandridge.
There's only one that does. That's me, myself.
Dorothy Dandridge, born on November 9, 1922, in Cleveland, Ohio, was a trailblazing actress and singer whose beauty, talent, and charisma captured the imagination of audiences during Hollywood's golden age. She made history in 1954 by becoming the first African-American woman nominated for a Best Actress Oscar for her stunning performance in Carmen Jones. Other notable films included Bright Road, 1953, and Porgy and Bess, 1959. Off-screen, she was a magnetic performer, gracing the stages of prestigious nightclubs such as the Macambo and the Waldorf Astoria. Despite her immense talent, Dandridge faced systemic racism that severely restricted her career opportunities. Hollywood's segregationist practices forced her to turn down roles that demeaned her heritage, limiting her earning potential. Even at the height of her fame, she struggled to secure leading roles that matched her capabilities. Her fight for respect in the industry made her a symbol of resilience, but came at a personal cost. Dandridge's financial troubles were exacerbated by her tumultuous personal life. Her first marriage to Harold Nicholas ended in a bitter divorce, leaving her to care for their daughter Harolyn, who had special needs. Raising Harolyn required significant financial resources, and Dandridge's limited career options made it difficult to cover these costs. Her second marriage to Jack Dennison further drained her emotionally and financially as he squandered her earnings on poor investments, leaving her bankrupt by 1963 with debts totaling $150,000. As her finances dwindled, Dandridge's mental health deteriorated. Her attempts to revive her career were unsuccessful, and by the mid-1960s, she lived in isolation, performing sporadically to survive. When she died on September 8, 1965, at the age of 42, she had only 24 cents in her bank account. An accidental overdose of antidepressants cut her life short. Dandridge's legacy endures, reminding the world of her contributions to film and music, and the barriers she broke for African American artists. Her tragic story also underscores the importance of advocating for equitable treatment and financial protections for performers. Marie Prevost. Marie Prevost, born on November 8, 1896, in Sarnia, Ontario, was a radiant and beloved actress of the silent film era. Known for her vivacious charm and comedic talent, she starred in over 100 films during her career, including The Marriage Circle, 1924, Kiss Me Again, 1925, and The Racket, 1928. Her natural beauty and screen presence made her one of the most sought-after actresses of the 1920s, and she earned substantial wealth and fame during her prime. Prevost's career began to falter with the advent of talkies. The transition from silent films to sound brought significant changes to Hollywood, and many actors struggled to adapt. Prevost's voice and acting style did not translate well to the new medium, and her roles diminished rapidly. By the early 1930s, she was relegated to small parts and bit roles. This decline deeply affected Prevost, who turned to alcohol to cope with the loss of her career and the changing dynamics of the industry. As her career waned, Prevost's financial situation deteriorated. Once a star living in luxury, she ended up in a modest, dilapidated apartment. Her struggles with alcoholism and depression further isolated her from friends and colleagues. By the mid-1930s, her health had worsened due to years of heavy drinking and poor nutrition. She faced increasing hardship, living in near obscurity and with limited means of support. On January 21, 1937, at the age of 38, Marie Prevost was found dead in her Los Angeles apartment. The coroner attributed her death to acute alcoholism and malnutrition. At the time of her passing, she had only $300 to her name. A contemporary report described her death as a stark reminder of how quickly fame can fade in Hollywood. Prevost's story highlights the brutal realities faced by many silent film stars during the industry's seismic shift to sound. Despite her tragic end, her legacy as a pioneer of early Hollywood endures, sparking discussions about the entertainment industry's responsibility to support its artists during periods of transition and adversity. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr., born on December 8, 1925 in Harlem, New York, was one of the most versatile entertainers of the 20th century. As a singer, dancer, actor, and comedian, he dazzled audiences with his extraordinary talent. A member of the famed Rat Pack alongside Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Davis became a cultural icon, known for performances in films like Ocean's 11, 1960, and Broadway hits such as Golden Boy. His chart-topping songs, including The Candyman, further solidified his status as a multi-talented star. Despite his success, Davis lived a life of excess, indulging in opulent homes, luxury cars, and expensive jewelry. His penchant for extravagance, combined with gambling and financial mismanagement, led to mounting debts. By the late 1970s, Davis was in serious financial trouble, owing the IRS over $7 million in back taxes, largely due to unpaid taxes, penalties, and interest. Efforts to resolve his financial problems were complicated by his lavish lifestyle. Davis sold off properties, including his Beverly Hills mansion, and auctioned personal memorabilia to repay his debts, but these measures barely made a dent. Even after liquidating many of his assets, his estate remained $5.2 million in debt at the time of his death. In his later years, Davis continued to perform almost relentlessly to pay down his debts, despite battling throat cancer. His grueling touring schedule took a toll on his health, but he remained determined to settle his financial obligations. His final days were spent negotiating with the IRS, hoping to secure better terms for repayment. On May 16, 1990, Davis passed away at the age of 64. A contemporary reflection in the Los Angeles Times described him as a performer who gave everything on stage but left little for himself. Sammy Davis Jr.'s legacy as a groundbreaking entertainer endures, but his financial struggles serve as a sobering reminder of the importance of prudent financial management, even for those at the pinnacle of success. His story has since inspired discussions about financial literacy in the entertainment industry. Do you think Sammy Davis Jr.'s financial struggles could have been avoided with better financial planning? Comment with yes or no to join the discussion. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake, born Constance Frances Marie Ockelman on November 14, 1922, in Brooklyn, New York, was one of Hollywood's most iconic actresses of the 1940s. Renowned for her sultry looks, signature peekaboo hairstyle, and on-screen charisma, Lake rose to fame in classics such as Sullivan's Travels, 1941, This Gun for Hire, 1942, and The Blue Dahlia, 1946. Her performances opposite Alan Ladd made them one of the most beloved on-screen duos of the era, and her stardom earned her considerable wealth and fame. However, Lake's fortunes declined rapidly as the decade progressed. Her career waned due to a combination of factors, including struggles with alcoholism, untreated mental health issues, and a reputation for being difficult to work with on set. The industry's preference for fresh talent also played a role, and Lake's star began to fade by the early 1950s. Her personal life further exacerbated her financial troubles. Lake endured multiple failed marriages, including a costly divorce from her third husband, which left her financially strained. Declared bankrupt in 1951, she lost most of her assets, including her home. Despite attempts to revive her career, she found herself relegated to small roles or overlooked entirely. In the 1960s, Lake reportedly worked as a waitress and hostess in a New York hotel, a stark contrast to her glamorous Hollywood beginnings. Her struggles with alcoholism continued to impact her health and finances. By her final years, she was suffering from hepatitis and kidney injury, conditions likely exacerbated by years of heavy drinking. Veronica Lake passed away on July 7, 1973, at the age of 50. At the time of her death, her only assets were a small bank account and a few personal belongings. A contemporary obituary remarked she was once the epitome of Hollywood glamour, but her life ended in quiet obscurity. Despite her tragic end, Lake's legacy endures as a symbol of classic Hollywood's allure and the fleeting nature of fame. Her story highlights the importance of mental health and financial support for those in the entertainment industry. Buster Keaton. Joseph Frank Buster Keaton, hailed as one of the greatest comedians of the silent film era, reached his career zenith during the 1920s. Renowned for his physical comedy and stoic expression, he earned the moniker the Great Stone Face. Keaton's contributions to cinema include classics such as The General, 1926, Sherlock Jr., 1924, and Steamboat Bill Jr., 1928. As a writer, director, and performer, his innovations in visual storytelling and stunt work were unparalleled. At the height of his career, Keaton enjoyed both critical acclaim and financial success, commanding significant influence in Hollywood. Keaton's financial troubles began with the advent of sound in cinema. By the early 1930s, the industry's transition to talkies curtailed his creative freedom. MGM, where he was under contract, restricted his control over projects, leading to less successful films. Concurrently, the Great Depression eroded his earnings. In 1932, an expensive divorce settlement with his first wife, actress Natalie Talmadge, further strained his finances. He also struggled with alcoholism, which impaired his ability to work consistently during this period. By the mid-1930s, Keaton's once thriving career had dwindled to sporadic appearances in low-budget films and shorts. Keaton worked diligently to revive his career. By the 1950s, he regained some recognition through television appearances, stage performances, and supporting roles in films like Sunset Boulevard, 1950. Despite these efforts, his income never returned to its earlier heights. Reflecting on his struggles, Keaton remarked, "The real glory is being knocked to your knees and then coming back." He lived modestly in his later years and was not destitute. But his estate was modest at best. Buster Keaton passed away from lung cancer on February 1st, 1966 at age 70. Though his financial troubles shadowed much of his life, his artistic legacy remains a cornerstone of cinematic history. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand, a luminous star of the silent film era, reigned as a comedic force and a pioneering director during the 1910s. She was a key figure at Mack Sennett's Keystone Studios, known for her slapstick brilliance and captivating screen presence. Her collaborations with Charlie Chaplin and Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle solidified her status as a major talent. During her peak, she commanded substantial earnings, living comfortably and enjoying the trappings of Hollywood success. However, this period of prosperity was not to last. Her finances began a long decline because of a series of tragic events and health challenges that clouded her final years. The year 1922 marked a turning point when she became entangled in the murder of director William Desmond Taylor. Though never implicated, the relentless media scrutiny surrounding her association with the case took a heavy toll on her career and public image. The intense media coverage led to a significant decline in her roles and consequently her earnings. The scandal coincided with the decline of her career, with major studios hesitant to work with her. This was compounded by her battle with tuberculosis, which further diminished her opportunities and drained her finances. She was a shell of her former self, her health deteriorating, and her once vibrant energy sapped by illness. As her ability to work dwindled, her savings also started to vanish. By the late 1920s, Normand's finances had significantly diminished. While not impoverished in the strictest sense, her substantial wealth from her peak years was gone. She spent her final days in a sanitarium, her bright career a distant memory. Despite efforts by friends and former colleagues to assist her, her health continued to decline. As she battled tuberculosis, her once comfortable financial situation continued to slip away. A contemporary news account noted, "Her life, once the toast of Hollywood, was now a shadow of its former self, plagued by sickness and scandal." Mabel Normand died on February 23, 1930 at the young age of 37. Her life a poignant tale of the fleeting nature of fame and fortune. Her story stands as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of early Hollywood stars. Mabel Normand's story is heartbreaking. Do you think early Hollywood exploited its stars? Comment yes if you agree or no if you don't, and let us know your thoughts on the industry then and now. Terry Thomas. Terry Thomas, the quintessential English comic actor, charmed audiences with his gap-toothed grin and debonair persona during the mid-20th century. His career peaked in the 1950s and 60s with memorable roles in films like School for Scoundrels, I'm All Right, Jack, and Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines. These movies, along with numerous television and stage appearances, established him as a master of sophisticated comedy. During his prime, Terry Thomas enjoyed significant financial success, living a lavish lifestyle befitting his on-screen persona. However, a devastating diagnosis in 1971 would slowly dismantle his financial stability and eventually leave him in dire straits. In 1971, Terry Thomas was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, marking the beginning of a long and arduous battle that not only compromised his health, but also his finances. His medical expenses quickly soared, placing a tremendous strain on his savings. As the disease progressed, his ability to work declined, cutting off his primary source of income. To meet the rising medical costs, he was forced to sell his home and many of his personal belongings, a sharp contrast to the comfortable life he had once enjoyed. This was the main driver of his financial troubles. His once abundant resources were gradually depleted due to his ever-increasing medical expenses. By the 1980s, Terry Thomas's condition had deteriorated significantly, and he was no longer able to live independently. His savings had been exhausted, and he was reliant on the goodwill of others. Friends and fellow actors organized a benefit concert to help with his care, highlighting the challenges he was facing. Despite this assistance, the financial strain of his illness meant he had to spend his final days in a modest actor's retirement home. As a fellow actor noted, it was heartbreaking to see such a vibrant spirit brought low by illness and financial worry. Terry Thomas died on January 8, 1990, at the age of 78, a poignant end for a performer who had once brought so much laughter to the world. His story underscores the profound impact of debilitating illness on even the most successful entertainers. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi, forever immortalized as Count Dracula, captivated audiences with his mesmerizing presence and chilling portrayal of the iconic vampire in the 1931 film. His portrayal remains a defining moment in horror cinema. Though he briefly enjoyed fame, Lugosi soon found himself typecast in villainous roles, restricting his ability to secure varied and more financially rewarding work. Despite his theatrical successes and initial popularity, Lugosi struggled to escape the shadow of his most famous character. During his prime, Lugosi earned a reasonable living but struggled to capitalize on his early success. This lack of diversity, coupled with personal challenges, initiated a downward spiral that would lead to financial ruin. Lugosi's career took a turn during the mid-1940s when he became addicted to morphine and methadone. This addiction severely impacted his ability to work consistently and further compromised his financial stability. The drug dependency led to erratic behavior and unreliable performance, making him less appealing to studios. Lugosi found himself relegated to low-budget films, often for minimal pay, a stark contrast to the wealth he might have anticipated from his early successes. This financial downturn was further exacerbated by his inability to obtain steady work due to his typecasting and growing health issues. He was reduced to accepting any work, which led to poor quality productions and minimal income. By 1955, Lugosi's financial situation had reached a critical point. He filed for bankruptcy, declaring debts of $3,500 against meager assets of only $11,000. His once substantial earnings were long gone, and he struggled to meet basic needs. He died on August 16, 1956, at the age of 73, from a heart attack, leaving behind only $1,900 in cash and a few personal effects. His funeral expenses were famously paid by fellow actor Frank Sinatra, highlighting the depths of Lugosi's financial despair. A contemporary report described him as a victim of his own iconic image, trapped by his past glories and his crippling addictions. Lugosi's life stands as a tragic tale of how fame can quickly fade, leaving behind a legacy of both artistic brilliance and personal hardship. Bud Abbott, the straight man of the legendary comedy duo Abbott and Costello, enjoyed unparalleled success during the 1940s and 50s. Along with his partner Lou Costello, he captivated audiences on stage, radio, and film with their slapstick routines and classic wordplay. During their peak, Abbott and Costello commanded enormous salaries, and their partnership generated millions of dollars. Bud Abbott's role as the pragmatic, fast-talking foil to Costello's antics brought them both considerable wealth. This period of affluence, however, would not last, and financial difficulties would plague Abbott in his later years. Tax issues, combined with health problems, would eventually lead to his financial ruin. Abbott's financial decline began with a major tax dispute. The Internal Revenue Service, IRS, disallowed $500,000 in tax exemptions that Abbott had claimed for war bond-raising efforts during World War II. This unexpected tax liability sent Abbott into a financial tailspin. The IRS's decision led to a long and complex legal battle that ultimately depleted much of his savings. The situation worsened after Lou Costello's death in 1959, as the duo's act was no longer viable. Abbott struggled to find consistent work on his own. Complicating matters, his health declined due to epilepsy, further limiting his ability to perform. The IRS eventually seized his home to settle the significant unpaid tax debts. As a result, Bud Abbott was forced to live in a small apartment. The loss of his home, a symbol of his past success, underscored the depth of his financial struggles. In a desperate attempt to alleviate his situation, Abbott made televised appeals to fans for financial assistance, a humbling moment for a man who had once been one of America's most beloved entertainers. By the time of his death on April 24, 1974, at the age of 78, Bud Abbott was virtually penniless. His remaining assets were insufficient to cover his outstanding debts. As a contemporary report noted, the once wealthy comedian whose routines brought laughter to millions died in near poverty. Abbott's life serves as a cautionary tale about the transient nature of fame and the importance of sound financial management. John Garfield, a dynamic and intense actor, made a significant impact on Hollywood with his raw, realistic performances during the 1930s and 40s. Known for his roles in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice and Body and Soul, he brought a unique, brooding quality to the screen. During his prime, Garfield commanded significant salaries and enjoyed considerable success, establishing himself as a major star. However, his career and personal life were tragically cut short by the political turmoil of the era. His entanglements with the Red Scare investigations during the early 1950s marked a devastating turn that led to his blacklisting, the loss of his livelihood, and ultimately a decline in his financial well-being. Garfield's troubles began in the early 1950s when he was called before the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC. Accused of communist sympathies, he was placed on the Hollywood blacklist, effectively ending his film career. This blacklist meant he could no longer secure acting work, which led to a dramatic loss of income. The stress and frustration from being blacklisted took a severe toll on his health and his mental state. The financial pressures mounted as he was unable to find consistent work. His savings were slowly depleted as he struggled to maintain his accustomed lifestyle while enduring professional exile. His blacklisting not only destroyed his career but also eroded his financial security. While he was not rendered completely destitute, his financial stability had been significantly compromised. The constant stress and despair took a severe toll on his physical health. Friends noted his growing despondency and saw that he was a shell of his former self. As one friend recounted, the blacklist didn't just rob him of his career, it slowly took his life. The intense stress and turmoil contributed to a heart attack, which led to his untimely death on May 21, 1952, at the young age of 39. Garfield's story is a poignant reminder of the devastating impact of political persecution on the lives and careers of those in the entertainment industry, and the toll it takes on their financial well-being. Wizard of Oz actors who got lifelong disabilities from filming. The Wizard of Oz is a timeless classic, but behind the glittering curtain lies a dark and shocking truth. What if I told you that some of the actors paid a devastating price for their roles, suffering lifelong disabilities from the very film that brought us so much joy? From toxic makeup to dangerous stunts, the set was far more dangerous than it seemed. Buddy Ebsen, the original Tin Man, wasn't the only one whose life was forever changed. So what really happened behind the scenes of this beloved movie? And how did the magic of Oz turn into a nightmare for its cast? Stick around, you won't believe what went on. Buddy Ebsen, the Tin Man. Buddy Ebsen, born Christian Ludolf Ebsen Jr. on April 2, 1908, was a multifaceted entertainer with a career spanning decades. Initially gaining recognition as a dancer and performer on Broadway in the 1920s, Ebsen transitioned to film in the early 1930s, showcasing his talents in musicals and comedies. His charm and versatility quickly made him a sought-after performer in Hollywood. By the time The Wizard of Oz came along, Ebsen had already established himself as a notable presence in the entertainment world. The production of The Wizard of Oz presented unforeseen challenges for Ebsen, who was originally cast as the Scarecrow, but later swapped roles to play the Tin Man. To achieve the metallic appearance of the character, Ebsen's makeup involved aluminum dust applied to his face and body. This seemingly harmless cosmetic choice proved to have devastating consequences. The filming environment, with its hot lights and frequent makeup reapplications, exacerbated the issue. The aluminum dust constantly present in the air was inhaled by Ebsen, gradually accumulating in his lungs. The impact of the aluminum dust was immediate and severe. Ebsen began experiencing cramping, shortness of breath, and difficulty breathing on set. Initially hesitant to complain for fear of losing his role, his condition worsened until he was rushed to the hospital 10 days into filming. He spent 2 weeks in the hospital, struggling to breathe, with his lungs coated in aluminum particles that prevented oxygen from reaching his blood. The long-term effects of this exposure resulted in chronic respiratory problems that plagued him for the rest of his life. Ebsen's experience on The Wizard of Oz dramatically altered the trajectory of his career. Although he continued to work in film and television, achieving notable success with roles in The Beverly Hillbillies and Barnaby Jones, he never fully escaped the health issues stemming from his time as the Tin Man. His daughter, Kiki Ebsen, recounted the incident, saying, "Because the lights were hot, his makeup melted several times a day, requiring reapplication with more aluminum dust, which he inhaled." This quote highlights the ongoing struggle Ebsen faced due to his exposure to the aluminum dust. While he did not let his health issues define him, they undoubtedly presented ongoing challenges. Despite the setback, Ebsen persevered in his career. He even outlived all of the principal cast members of The Wizard of Oz, a testament to his resilience. Although the studio downplayed the severity of his illness, attributing it to a mere allergy, Ebsen's experience served as a cautionary tale within the industry. His replacement, Jack Haley, was given a modified makeup formula, highlighting the studio's awareness of the potential dangers of the original aluminum-based cosmetic. Ebsen's story underscores the importance of workplace safety, particularly in the film industry, where actors are sometimes subjected to hazardous conditions. While his experience on The Wizard of Oz was undoubtedly a dark chapter in his life, his perseverance and later successes demonstrate his strength and unwavering commitment to his craft. His legacy serves as a reminder of the human cost behind the magic of filmmaking and the crucial need for safety precautions to protect those who bring these stories to life. Ray Bolger, the Scarecrow. Ray Bolger, born Raymond Wallace Bolger on January 10, 1904, was a celebrated dancer, singer, and actor. His early career saw him rise to prominence in vaudeville and Broadway, showcasing his distinctive comedic timing and elastic dance style. He transitioned to film in the 1930s, appearing in various musical comedies that further solidified his reputation as a versatile and engaging performer. By the time he landed the role of the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, Bolger was already a recognized name in the entertainment industry. The filming of The Wizard of Oz presented unique challenges for Bolger. The Scarecrow's costume, while iconic, included a rubber mask designed to give his face a burlap-like texture. This mask proved to be a source of considerable discomfort and ultimately led to lasting changes in Bolger's facial features. The application and removal of the mask were arduous processes, taking about an hour each day. The repeated pulling of the latex mask from his skin left a permanent waffle-like pattern, particularly around the corners of his mouth and chin. The mask was not only uncomfortable to wear, but also stifling under the hot studio lights, requiring frequent replacements. Over the course of filming, Bolger went through over 40 masks. The impact of the mask on Bolger's face was permanent. The lines and indentations caused by the rubber remained visible long after filming wrapped, effectively altering his facial appearance for the rest of his life. While not a debilitating injury in the traditional sense, these lasting marks served as a constant reminder of the physical toll the role took on him. Beyond the facial markings, the mask also caused discomfort and irritation during filming, adding to the overall strain of the production. Despite the physical challenges he faced with the Scarecrow makeup, Bolger's career continued to flourish after The Wizard of Oz. He continued to work in film, television, and on stage, demonstrating his resilience and passion for performing. He remained active in the entertainment industry for decades, delighting audiences with his unique blend of physical comedy, dance, and acting. While the mask's impact on his face was permanent, it did not hinder his ability to express himself and connect with audiences. One account recalls Bolger's lament about the mask, stating, "Under the hot lights on the set, the mask was stifling and it frequently had to be replaced." Bolger's portrayal of the Scarecrow remains one of the most beloved and iconic performances in cinematic history. His physical comedy, expressive movements, and endearing portrayal of the character brought joy to generations of viewers. Beyond his acting achievements, Bolger was a generous philanthropist and a dedicated family man. He remained active in the entertainment world well into his later years, showcasing his enduring talent and passion for performing. His ultimate cause of death, bladder cancer, in 1987, at the age of 83, was unrelated to his work in The Wizard of Oz. Ray Bolger's experience highlights the physical demands placed on actors, particularly in the early days of filmmaking. While the use of rubber masks and other special effects makeup has evolved significantly since the production of The Wizard of Oz, his story serves as a reminder of the importance of prioritizing actor safety and comfort. His legacy continues to inspire performers and remind audiences of the dedication and artistry that goes into bringing beloved characters to life on screen. Stay tuned till the end. Drop number 1 if you're ready for the twist that will blow your mind. Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch of the West. Margaret Hamilton, born Margaret Brainerd Hamilton on December 9, 1902, was a talented actress whose career spanned several decades. Beginning her career as a kindergarten teacher, she transitioned to acting on stage and later in film. By the time she was cast as the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz, she had established herself as a character actress known for her expressive face and comedic timing. Her portrayal of the Wicked Witch, however, would become her most iconic and enduring role. The production of The Wizard of Oz presented numerous challenges for Hamilton. The green makeup used to create the Wicked Witch's distinctive look was toxic, containing copper-based pigments. The application of this makeup was not only uncomfortable but also posed a health risk. Hamilton could only consume liquids through a straw to avoid ingesting the makeup. Further complicating matters, the makeup was exceptionally difficult to remove, leaving her skin tinged green for weeks after filming had concluded. The makeup wasn't the only hazard Hamilton faced during filming. In the scene where the Wicked Witch disappears in a puff of smoke, she suffered second- and third-degree burns to her face and hands due to pyrotechnics used for the special effect. Copper-based paints compounded these injuries. Alcohol was used to remove the makeup, causing intense pain. The burns necessitated a 6-week recovery period, and she refused to work with fire again. The burns from the pyrotechnic accident and the lasting effects of the toxic makeup had a profound impact on Hamilton's life. Although she continued her acting career, her association with the Wicked Witch often led to typecasting, limiting the range of roles offered to her. Despite these challenges, she embraced her iconic role, making appearances as the Wicked Witch for various charitable events and children's programs. Despite the hardships she faced during the filming of The Wizard of Oz, Hamilton persevered and continued her successful career in the entertainment industry. She never publicly expressed bitterness about her experiences, instead choosing to focus on the positive aspects of her iconic role. In a later interview, she stated, "I'll admit, at first I was hesitant to be typecast as a witch, but then I realized that the Wicked Witch was actually a very strong, powerful character. I came to embrace her." While Hamilton's experience on the set of The Wizard of Oz presented significant challenges, it also contributed to one of the most memorable and enduring performances in cinematic history. Her portrayal of the Wicked Witch of the West remains instantly recognizable and continues to fascinate and entertain audiences of all ages. Her story is a testament to her resilience and professionalism, and it also highlights the need for improved safety measures and awareness of hazardous materials in the film industry. While Hamilton's burns and subsequent typecasting undoubtedly impacted her career, her enduring legacy as the Wicked Witch solidifies her place in film history. Her experience serves as a stark reminder of the lengths actors sometimes go to for their craft and the importance of protecting their well-being in the process. Like Judy Garland, Dorothy Dandridge. Judy Garland, born Frances Ethel Gum on June 10, 1922, was a prodigious talent from a young age. Pushed into performing by her mother, she began her career in vaudeville as a child, singing and dancing alongside her sisters. Signed to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, at the age of 13, she quickly rose to stardom, captivating audiences with her powerful voice and charismatic performances. By the time she landed the iconic role of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz at the age of 16, she was already a seasoned performer, though still a teenager. The production of The Wizard of Oz proved to be a grueling experience for the young actress. MGM, known for its demanding work schedules, subjected Garland to long hours on set. To keep her energized and able to cope with the demanding filming schedule, studio executives provided her with amphetamines, commonly known as pep pills, and barbiturates or downers, to ensure she slept. This practice, coupled with the pressures of maintaining a specific weight deemed desirable by the studio, contributed to Garland's lifelong struggles with substance abuse. She was also reportedly placed on a restrictive diet of chicken soup, black coffee, cigarettes, and diet pills to control her weight, which likely exacerbated her health issues. The long-term impact of the grueling work schedule, coupled with the studio's control over her physical appearance and the introduction to stimulants and depressants, had devastating consequences for Garland. The pressures of her early career and the reliance on drugs to regulate her sleep and energy levels contributed to a lifelong battle with addiction. The verbal abuse she endured regarding her weight further compounded her struggles with body image and mental health. This combination of factors created a cycle of dependency that tragically foreshadowed her untimely death. Garland's substance abuse, which began during the filming of The Wizard of Oz, continued to plague her throughout her life. While she achieved tremendous success as a singer and actress, both on stage and screen, her personal life was marked by periods of instability and health challenges. Her struggles with addiction, along with subsequent failed marriages and mental health issues, were well documented in the media, casting a shadow over her remarkable talent and accomplishments. Reflecting on her experiences in Hollywood, Garland once poignantly remarked, "They had us working days and nights on end. They'd give us pills to keep us going and then other pills to make us sleep. It was a terrible way to live. This quote encapsulates the toll the demanding and manipulative environment of the studio system took on her young life and the tragic consequences that followed. Judy Garland's untimely death from an accidental barbiturate overdose in 1969 at the age of 47 served as a tragic reminder of the dark side of Hollywood and the pressures faced by child stars. Her legacy as a gifted performer is intertwined with the cautionary tale of her struggles, highlighting the importance of protecting young actors from exploitation and promoting a healthier, more supportive environment within the entertainment industry. Her story continues to resonate today, serving as a stark reminder of the human cost of fame and the need for greater awareness and compassion for those who struggle with addiction. MGM used amphetamines and barbiturates to control Judy Garland's energy. Do you think such practices are ever acceptable, even if a studio thinks it's necessary? Comment yes if you think it's ever acceptable, or no if not. What's your opinion of Jack Haley, the Tin Man?
A while back, we were walking down the yellow brick road, and...
Jack Haley, born John Joseph Haley Jr. on August 10, 1898, was a versatile entertainer with a successful career in vaudeville, radio, and film. His comedic timing, affable personality, and song and dance skills made him a popular performer on stage and screen. Before taking on the role of the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, Haley had already enjoyed a thriving career in entertainment. The filming of The Wizard of Oz presented some challenges for Haley, though thankfully they were not as severe as those experienced by his predecessor, Buddy Ebsen. Ebsen was originally cast as the Tin Man, but the aluminum dust used in his makeup caused severe respiratory problems, leading to his hospitalization and eventual replacement by Haley. The studio, having learned from Ebsen's experience, modified the makeup process for Haley, mixing the aluminum powder with a paste to minimize the risk of inhalation. While Haley's makeup was less hazardous than Ebsen's, it wasn't without its issues. He developed an eye infection during filming, likely due to the aluminum-based makeup. Fortunately, the infection was treatable and did not cause lasting damage. He took a week off to recover and completed filming without further incident. While it is fortunate that his issues were not as severe as what Ebsen experienced, it is clear the studio failed to protect both of its actors effectively. Despite the minor health setback during filming, Haley's portrayal of the Tin Man became one of the most memorable and endearing characters in The Wizard of Oz. His comedic timing, warm personality, and heartfelt performance resonated with audiences, solidifying his place in cinematic history. While The Wizard of Oz became one of his most famous roles, Haley continued to work in entertainment, showcasing his talents in various films and television shows. After his role in The Wizard of Oz propelled him to new heights of fame, Haley continued his successful career in film, though he avoided similar roles that required heavy makeup. In an ironic twist, he later voiced the Tin Man in an animated television special titled Journey Back to Oz, 1974. His son, Jack Haley Jr., produced and directed the film. Haley continued to act on stage, screen, and television. He continued to leverage his warm, paternal image into his later years. Jack Haley's performance as the Tin Man remains a beloved and iconic part of The Wizard of Oz. While his experience with the modified makeup caused a temporary eye infection, it thankfully did not lead to any long-term disabilities. His career continued to thrive after The Wizard of Oz, and he remained a respected figure in the entertainment industry. His story stands in contrast to the severe health issues faced by some of his co-stars, highlighting the unpredictable nature of filmmaking and the importance of constant vigilance regarding actor safety. Haley Jr.'s work in animation shows that he never forgot his father's work as the Tin Man and how it influenced his and audiences' lives. Betty Danko stunt double for the Wicked Witch of the West. Betty Danko, born Bertha Danko on September 19, 1903, was a skilled and courageous stuntwoman who worked extensively in Hollywood during the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s. Starting her career as a stand-in and stunt double, Danko's athleticism and ability to convincingly portray various actresses in dangerous scenes made her a sought-after professional in the industry. She regularly doubled for actresses such as Zasu Pitts and Patsy Kelly at Hal Roach Studios. While she doubled for several leading ladies of the era, she is best known for her work as Margaret Hamilton's stunt double for the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz. Her parents, John L. Danko and Mary Catherine Drahos Danko, were Czechoslovakian immigrants. The filming of The Wizard of Oz presented significant risks for stunt performers. and Betty Danko was not immune to these dangers. During a scene involving the Wicked Witch's fiery exit, Danko sustained severe burns to her legs when a pyrotechnic effect malfunctioned. This incident resulted in permanent scarring and a premature end to her stunt career. In another incident during the skywriting scene with the witch's broomstick, a pipe exploded, further injuring Danko's leg and landing her in the hospital. The impact of the burn injuries on Danko's career was substantial. The severity of the burns and the resulting scarring made it difficult for her to continue performing stunts, effectively ending her career in that field. While the accident on the set of The Wizard of Oz was a significant setback, it wasn't the only incident that impacted her life. Years later, while waiting for a bus, she was struck by a car, an incident unrelated to her stunt work but which further compounded her health challenges. Despite the physical and emotional challenges she faced, Danko remained resilient. She had lived a full life before becoming a stunt performer, including working as a stenographer for a dental supply company. She persevered through the difficult recovery process and found other ways to contribute to the film industry. After the Wizard of Oz incident, Danko primarily worked as a stand-in. Later, she transitioned into other roles within the entertainment industry, demonstrating her adaptability and determination. Information regarding Danko's personal reflections on the accident is scarce, as her story is often overshadowed by the more prominent actors in The Wizard of Oz. However, it's clear that her experience highlights the often overlooked contributions and sacrifices made by stunt performers in the early days of Hollywood. She reportedly barely could drive or raise her arm after the broomstick incident. She was born Boji, but her name was changed to Bertha in 1905. Betty Danko's story, while less known than some of her Wizard of Oz co-stars, offers a crucial perspective on the risks involved in early filmmaking. Her dedication to her craft and the physical price she paid for her work underscore the importance of safety measures and the recognition of the often unsung heroes behind the scenes. Her experience serves as a reminder of the need for greater appreciation and protection for those who put themselves in harm's way to create the magic of cinema. Betty Danko faced real danger as a stunt performer on The Wizard of Oz. Do you think the risks she took were worth it for the film, or were they too extreme? Comment worth it or too extreme. Let's discuss this aspect of movie making. The Munchkins, inhabitants of Munchkin Land. The Munchkins, brought to life by a troupe of little people, primarily the Singer Midgets, a European vaudeville group, remain an integral part of The Wizard of Oz's enduring charm. Their vibrant costumes and joyous melodies welcoming Dorothy to Oz and celebrating the Wicked Witch of the East's demise have captivated generations. While their on-screen presence evokes a sense of whimsy, the reality of their experience during filming presents a more complex picture. The filming of The Wizard of Oz presented a unique set of circumstances for the Munchkins. Many were experiencing Hollywood and the United States for the first time. While the opportunity was undoubtedly exciting, it also came with challenges. The Munchkins reportedly faced long working hours and were paid significantly less than other cast members, even less than Terry, the dog who played Toto. This pay disparity raises questions about fair treatment and compensation within the film industry. Beyond the financial aspects, concerns surrounding the working conditions and overall treatment of the Munchkins have been raised. Anecdotal accounts suggest that their behavior off-set was sometimes disruptive and unruly, leading to conflicts and the need for increased supervision. While some of these accounts may be exaggerated or unsubstantiated, they nevertheless contribute to a narrative that raises questions about the overall well-being and professional treatment of the Munchkin actors. The long-term impact of The Wizard of Oz on the Munchkins' careers varied greatly. For some, it became their most recognizable role, while others continued working in entertainment, sometimes facing typecasting due to their size. Regardless of their individual trajectories, their collective portrayal of the Munchkins remains an iconic part of film history. This was further cemented in 2007 when they received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's essential to acknowledge the complexities and potentially problematic aspects of the Munchkins' experience while celebrating their contribution to the film's enduring legacy. Separating fact from the numerous myths and rumors surrounding their time on set can be challenging, but their on-screen performance remains a beloved and iconic part of The Wizard of Oz. It is also known that there were child actors amongst the Munchkin cast, and their treatment should be taken into consideration. Despite the controversies and challenges, the Munchkins' portrayal continues to resonate with audiences. Their cheerful songs, colorful costumes, and enthusiastic greeting to Dorothy contribute significantly to the film's whimsical and enduring appeal. Their story provides a unique lens through which to examine the treatment of performers, especially those of short stature, in the early days of Hollywood. It also reminds us to look beyond the on-screen magic and consider the real-life experiences of the individuals who bring these beloved characters to life. The supporting players and animals of The Wizard of Oz. While the main cast of The Wizard of Oz faced their share of challenges, the supporting players and animal actors also endured difficult and sometimes dangerous conditions during filming. Their stories, often overshadowed by the leads, offer a glimpse into the broader issues of safety and fair treatment within the film industry of that era. The flying monkeys, for instance, faced real physical risks. The actors portraying these menacing creatures were suspended by wires that occasionally malfunctioned or broke, resulting in falls and injuries. While specific details about these incidents are scarce, they highlight the dangers inherent in early stunt work and the lack of adequate safety precautions. Even Toto, Dorothy's canine companion, played by a female cairn terrier named Terry, was not immune to the hazards of the set. During filming, a Winky soldier accidentally stepped on Terry's foot, breaking it. This incident underscores the unpredictable nature of working with animals and the potential for accidents to occur even in seemingly innocuous situations. The Munchkins, the cheerful inhabitants of Munchkinland, faced different kinds of challenges. While their on-screen presence contributed significantly to the film's whimsical atmosphere, they were reportedly underpaid, earning significantly less than other cast members, including Terry, who earned more per week than the Munchkin actors. This disparity in pay raises questions about fair compensation and the value placed on different types of contributions within the production. Furthermore, there are accounts, some disputed, of unruly behavior and challenges in managing the large group of Munchkin actors, which included both adults and child actors. Bert Lahr, the talented comedian who brought the Cowardly Lion to life, suffered from the physical discomfort of his costume. Made from real lion fur, the costume was heavy and hot, causing excessive sweating and discomfort, especially under the studio lights. While not resulting in a lasting disability, Lahr's experience demonstrates the physical demands placed on actors and the potential for costumes to create challenging working conditions. The collective experiences of these supporting players and animal actors in The Wizard of Oz underscore the broader issues of safety, fair treatment, and working conditions within the film industry of the time. While The Wizard of Oz remains a beloved classic, it's important to acknowledge the challenges and hardships faced by those who contributed to its creation, both on and off-screen. The golden age of Hollywood, often romanticized for its glamour and iconic films, concealed a darker reality for those working behind the scenes. The production of The Wizard of Oz, despite its enduring magic, serves as a stark example of the precarious and often exploitative conditions prevalent in the film industry during the 1930s. A significant contributing factor to these conditions was the absence of robust unions and protective regulations. Unlike today, where unions like SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and IATSE, International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, advocate for fair wages, reasonable working hours, and safe working conditions, the 1930s film industry landscape lacked such safeguards. This absence left actors, particularly those in less powerful positions, vulnerable to exploitation by studios wielding immense control. The studio system operated on contracts that bound actors to specific studios, limiting their bargaining power and allowing studios to dictate terms, often to the detriment of the performer's well-being. This power imbalance manifested in several ways during the production of The Wizard of Oz. Judy Garland, a minor at the time, was subjected to grueling work schedules, verbal abuse about her weight, a restrictive diet, and the administration of amphetamines and barbiturates to control her energy levels and sleep. The studio's control over her life extended beyond the set, impacting her physical and mental health for years to come. The lack of regulations and child labor laws at the time further exacerbated her vulnerability. The absence of established safety protocols also contributed to several on-set accidents. Buddy Ebsen's near-fatal reaction to the aluminum dust in the original Tin Man makeup, Margaret Hamilton's burns from the pyrotechnics mishap, and the injuries sustained by the actors portraying the flying monkeys due to faulty wires are all testaments to the hazardous conditions. The use of asbestos, a known carcinogen, to create the snow in the poppy field scene further exemplifies the disregard for long-term health risks. The nascent stage of filmmaking technology also played a role in these hazards. The 1930s marked a period of experimentation and improvisation in special effects and makeup. While innovative, these techniques often lacked thorough safety testing and oversight, leading to unforeseen consequences. The aluminum-based makeup for the Tin Man, the complex pyrotechnics, and the cumbersome flying apparatus for the monkeys all represent the industry's learning curve in developing safe practices. The overall working conditions during the Wizard of Oz production mirrored the broader labor landscape of the time. The absence of strong unions, coupled with the experimental nature of filmmaking, created an environment where workers, from actors to stunt performers, were often exposed to significant risks. The legacy of The Wizard of Oz, while celebrating its artistic achievements, must also acknowledge the human cost of its creation and serve as a reminder of the importance of worker protections in the entertainment industry. The stories of these Golden Age legends remind us how fleeting fame and fortune can be. Their lives teach us to cherish what we have, prepare for the unexpected, and never forget the human struggles behind the spotlight. If these tales moved you, there's even more to uncover. Don't miss our previous video, Top 20 Celebrities That Went to Prison, latest update, for shocking stories of fame gone wrong. Before you go, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Iconic Inside, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into Hollywood history. Your support helps us keep these incredible stories alive. Who knows what fascinating tales we'll uncover next? See you in the next video.